Alright, this is the Nintendo 64, one of the most popular systems ever, probably besides the Atari 2600. It came in lots of different colors. In fact, it came in colors like see-through green, see-through purple, it came in a yellow, it came in even a Pikachu color. So there were all kinds of Nintendo 64s, and they each had their own different colored controllers as well. Now, this is not my original N64. My original was see-through green. I sold it a couple of years back to get my original Xbox, which gave me many years of fun entertainment. But now looking back, I wish I hadn't sold it. But hey, look, I got a Nintendo back anyway. Alright, so, let's give a quick look over to the console. It's got 4 controller ports, which is different from the Super Nintendo. And it's got your standard power switch, reset button, and it's even got a little memory card here built in. I don't have the expansion packs, but I plan on getting them eventually. Now right here we've got a cartridge slot. This is one of the last cartridge systems that there was. Nintendo was dragging their feet on the CD-ROM drive, especially since all the nonsense that happened with the Nintendo CD drive, which never really happened. Alright, so we got the Nintendo logo here again, and on the back we have an interesting power supply. It was built into the back, but it wasn't. You could tear it off and do cool things. The same AV multi-out as with the Super Nintendo, and even the GameCube used it as well. So it's fairly well liked and easily usable AV multi-out. It's got your standard call if you need help number, which I doubt anyone ever called, or people very rarely called. On the bottom here, got your standard nonsense about yes, this passes FCC rules and blah 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 blah. Now here we've got the extension port, which is actually where the N64 DD went, and that was pretty rare, only sold in the Asian area. And in fact, there was also an add-on that went on top, which is the TriStar 64, which let you play Famicom and Super Famicom, or Super Nintendo and Nintendo games, as well as N64 games, and acted like a Game Genie. For information on that, you should go watch Gamester 81's review, since he did a very good job talking about that. Alright, now I'm going to show you the power supply and AV cables. Probably just the power supply cable, since it's slightly different from other ones. Alright, here it is. It's a giant brick, but it's not the brick like the Sega Genesis 32X CD. It actually goes on the back of the system and is fairly compact. It works its way into the back fairly nicely. If I can just... There we go, and it's in. It sticks out the back a little bit, but hey, it's a lot better than anything else I've seen so far. The giant bricks. I really hate the bricks. This is not a brick, so thank you Nintendo for that. Because everybody hates the brick. It takes up so much space. Alright, now I'm going to talk about some specs, which is what's under the hood here, which I really can't show you, but just imagine that it's under these little vents here. It did actually have a 64-bit processor, but the 64-bit processor was on a 32-bit bus. But it still was able to do 64-bit calculations, but the 32 bus slowed it down a little bit. The processor was actually built by NAC, who had built the TurboGrafx-16, and this was, at this point, the TurboGrafx-16 was dead and gone by a couple of years. So, obviously, since they were game designers before, and they were a big computer company, they were able to design a good gaming CPU. So that's pretty cool. And the system, it was the most powerful, I believe, at the time. The CPU, it actually ran at 93.75 megahertz. Very, very fast. Which is pretty good. In fact, at the time, I believe normal computer CPUs were probably running about 5 times that. At least. Yeah, 500 megahertz. So this was a very powerful system for the time. It was able to handle a lot. Although, that doesn't necessarily mean it's perfect. Now, it did have a coprocessor, which was named Reality, which was also 64-bit, and helped with a lot of the graphical calculations such as lighting and whatnot, and textures. Although there were lots of problems with the programming, since it was kind of oddly designed. It was meant to be easy, and it was fairly easy compared to other systems such as the TurboGrafx-16 or the 32X. To program, compared to those, it was easier to program this. Now, the programming texture memory was very small. It was about 4 kilobytes. And if the company wanted to use MIP mapping or bilinear filtering, it went down to 2 kilobytes, which was very difficult to get any sort of textures or things in there. It made programming more difficult because you couldn't do as much as you possibly could. Although companies such as Rare were able to overcome this nonsense by putting smaller textures together on larger objects, like you'll see in Banjo-Tooie or Perfect Dark on huge objects. There's a bunch of small little textures put together, and that's able to retain a lot of the giant-looking things that just are huge, without sacrificing too much of the graphical capacity.